Llew, thanks for being part of a great conversation tonight. We touched on Kyle Sandilands as an example of, say, reputation gone bad using social media. If you had been advising him, what would you have suggested?
Well, Kat, the main thing that you would need to do is look at which channels are saying what. Yep. You'd need to use sentiment monitoring tools, a bit like buzz numbers, and Google Alerts is one of those sort of tools, to find out what the positive sentiment it is, what the negative sentiment is, and then really work on strategies to make sure you start managing that online reputation. Because things like, unfortunately, with Kyle, sponsors can start to get a little bit antsy and jumpy, and they can cause money problems and financial difficulties.
So we can't necessarily control what obviously the sentiment is, but we can facilitate a more positive outcome for ourselves if our brands got into similar trouble.
Absolutely, and as long as you've got the strategy at the start on how you're going to deal with that, how you're going to manage that online reputation if it came to that, and you know who the key players are from a public relations, from a brand level, from a digital level, you can pull them all together, as I said, in a war room and say, how are we going to deal with that piece of either positive or mainly negative sentiment, and what are we going to do to try and make sure that the reputation that people are seeing out there is protected from a brand equity level.
Okay. Thanks again, Llew, as always.
Pleasure, Kat. Cheers.
Thanks for being part of tonight's conversation. Edmund, you mentioned Google Plus a lot. Why is it so important?
Right, Google Plus is going to be the tsunami that knocks over the other social networks. Google owns pretty much organic search. By creating their own social network, they pull all of these social data and interactions that people have online into their system. They're going to change the way organic rankings occur on a personal level. So every person who logs into a Google service is going to see their own personalised results. And the way brands have to participate in this is that they have to create a presence in Google+. They need to get their brand into the circles of influence of all these other members there in order to be relevant in the search, in organic search.
So are you saying the results that I as a user see when I do Google dogs it's going to be influenced by what's gone on in my Google network?
Absolutely. The results that you see are going to be changed and influenced by the brands that you've added to your circles.
Some extraordinary opportunities there and challenges for marketers, but the takeaway is Google Plus, got to watch it.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks again so much, Edmund. Really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Scott, thanks for your time this evening. Tell me, how do we stand out in an increasingly cluttered social media space?
I think it really comes down to having an understanding of what it is that is going to sort of push people's buttons. We have that understanding of the insights, tapping into sort of some of the human behaviours, what motivates people, what interests them, and from there you kind of will end up crafting some kind of idea that you can then execute, which in terms of social media will most likely be a Facebook campaign or something like that. So it's really about having that insight-driven sort of message, and that translates into an idea that then is a quite relevant and engaging piece of communication. Okay.
Another point that you mentioned while we were talking earlier was we've got to stop drawing the distinction between social and all other media. Can you just quickly give viewers a...
Yeah, well, sort of back on the first bit, it's really about coming up with ideas that work across any medium. Yeah. I mean, buzzwords like media agnostic or channel neutral kind of things. I mean, it's kind of it works. It makes sense. You just come up with ideas that or campaigns or messages that just can be done as press ads, or there might be radio, or there might be a social media kind of campaign. You come up with a good enough idea that's based on something that sort of is interesting and relevant and applicable to people, and that'll sort of connect.
Fantastic. Again, Scott, thanks for your time and for your expertise this evening. It's been great.
Okay.